Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. It is Monday, July 22nd. Hell of a weekend. Folks, I think it's not just declared by the Republicans and conservatives, but the Democrats as well, that Joe Biden hey, is the worst president in American history. Remember, folks, this is the guy that fell up the flights of stairs. We're not going to be able to say it this much longer. Tripped over a sandbag at a graduation ceremony. Looked for dead people in the crowd. Conversed with dead people. Wandered off. Got lost. Fell off his bicycle. We were told by the media this guy's sane. He's the most popular president in American history. Let that one sink in. And over the weekend, the Democrat Party got rid of the guy. Look at all the progress we've made. Look at all the stuff we've done. It's never been better. The guy's sharp. He's fit. He can do the job. When you get knocked back down, you get back up, wherever the hell he said. Most popular president in American history. I'm done. I'm out. Not going to run for re-election. Patriots. Woo-hoo-hoo. It's great to be back with you on this fine Monday morning. I see y'all in the chat. Let me wet my whistle a little bit here before we jump into the craziness of the news and give you all the details on everything you need to know about, which, quite frankly, there's not too many details out still, even though we've only had less than 24 hours of this news cycle. And a news cycle it's been, man. Things have been crazy. Let's give some shout outs from the chat. We got Danielle. We got our secret agent 355 doing the Lord's work as the moderator. So be on your best behavior. Jim, Adam, Danielle, Troy is here. What's going on, Troy? Gianni, Lily B's here. We're starting to chat a little bit earlier. Me, Dizzy, Jason, and Pat were chatting a little bit over there at Rumble earlier on. The chat starts a little bit earlier over at Rumble, so if you're in early enough, you can catch that chat. Lily B's over there as well. We got donuts. Man, donuts sound good right now, don't they? A little bit of either a Krispy Kreme donut or maybe a Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. Also, Donald Trump. Well, folks, let's jump into it. We got a lot of stuff to cover. So the game plan is, right now, is the congressional hearing with the Secret Service. What I plan on doing is doing the normal show, and then I'm going to end the stream in about an hour, and then I'm going to immediately start streaming again for the Secret Service hearing, and I'm going to backtrack it from the beginning of the Secret Service hearing all the way till whenever it goes on, because I want all the details. So if you want to join me for that, feel free. We're going to be hanging out and doing all that together to see what goes on, because there's a lot of news coming out with that congressional hearing already before it's even freaking started. So let's get into it. Now, I always like to start off sometimes with a funny clip. Well, you got Trump derangement syndrome really taking place here. What's going on, Kimmy24? Rosie O'Donnell is back in the news. And I don't mean to be rude, but damn, she is not okay. Let me just say, she put out this video on Saturday, and Trump derangement syndrome is real, man. This lady loses it. So here's her. I think this is on TikTok. And just from who Rosie used to be to what like Donald Trump's done to her. Check this out.
The whole thing is very, very unnerving. It's very unnerving. In 100 days, people are saying to me, my therapist actually said to me, well, it's a long time between now and November. No, it isn't. We're about to start school again. You know how quick all of a sudden it's Halloween, and then it's Thanksgiving break. So by Thanksgiving break, we're going to know whether we still have democracy in the United States. That's not a long time. It's a long time to worry every day, I can tell you that.
Look at that face, man.
I'm excited about the Olympics starting.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm telling you, man. It's so many people are just completely molded and manipulated by the media. It is really a wild thing to see. As I mentioned, politics is humor. It's entertainment to me. And sadly, Rosie has left the building, similar to Elvis and clearly Joe Biden. So I had to share that with all of you because our democracy's gonna die before Thanksgiving. She's like talking to a therapist about it. It's like, come on, lady, everything's gonna be fine. If anything, by the way, this is not age well because this was Saturday, right? Joe Biden announced midday Sunday that he's not running for re-election. He basically broke up with the country over text message. The dude wrote a letter. Cause you sent me a letter and remember that song? Yeah, Joe Biden wrote a letter to the country saying that he's not gonna run for re-election. He broke up with us over text message, Joe. Nobody's seen him. Has anybody seen Joe in like 72 hours? Everybody's wondering where's Joe? Joe, where you at, big guy? You okay? Is it the COVID? So nobody's seen him. You think you would owe your people kind of a press conference to do something like that, but we know he's not going to make it through one. He can't do it. We all know what's going on with Joey. Maybe we should start calling him Jody. Maybe he'll transition and then he'll be Jody. Well, big news yesterday. We covered it live here. No news, really. Biden drops out of the presidential race. So he announced this on Sunday. There were whirlings, and I went back through my catalog. We officially announced this 4 days ago. So we announced 4 days ago. Like I said, you're going to be about a week ahead of the news headlines if you watch this show. Sometimes 2 to 3 weeks ahead. And you were 2 to 3 weeks ahead between me saying, hey, they're going to transition away from Joe or on the Joe. The media's going to get behind Joe regardless, right? They're going after him like, oh, he's not fit. He's not sharp anymore. But I said, no. That's slowly going to change, right? That's going to morph into getting back behind Joe. Or if Joe drops out, they're going to get behind somebody. So the media and the Democrat Party are friends again, as if nothing took place before this. Did we not call it? None of this took place. It's remarkable how quick Donald Trump's assassination was just out of the news cycle. Like, the dude was shot in the head. No one's talking about it anymore. That's how quick the news cycles. A president was just almost assassinated. Gone out of the news cycle. The big thing is Joe Biden drops out and, well, possibly Kamala Harris is going to step in. And as I mentioned, folks, he sent a letter. He didn't even do a presser on this. I mean, is Joe okay? Like, is Joe alive? Does Joe know he dropped out? Folks, they did it on National Ice Cream Day. How fucked up is that? They got rid of Joe on National Ice Cream Day. Can you believe it? The things they're doing to this man. You couldn't wait. I'm sorry. It is true, though. It's really National Ice Cream Day. They got rid of the guy. It's so messed up. I just imagine Joe just on his side with like a slight partial CPAP still hooked up to him, laying down in his bed, just crying, just eating ice cream. He's coughing on his ice cream. All right, well, that was that one. There's not really any news, just the fact that I can't believe it. And he, in this letter, if you weren't with us yesterday, it basically started off saying like how great everything was under his administration and how they're passing along the torch to the next person, something really great. But then in the third paragraph, he's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave. What? Like, what? To give you perspective, to kind of give an analogy of how Democrats have portrayed this whole thing, is let's just say you bought a really terrible home, which would be the country. Okay, that's the analogy. The home is the country. And the home is just really rancid. It's terrible. It's dilapidated. It's broken down. And you come in and you rebuild it. The thing is nice. As a matter of fact, you plan on living in it. That's why you really bought the house. And you redone it. And the thing is like the house you've dreamed of. It's the best thing ever. And you go, you know what? I think I'm not going to live here. That's basically what Joe did, based on his viewpoint in his mind. I built up this whole country. Look what I did. It's so beautiful and grand. Well, somebody else is going to live in it now. I'm out. Peace out. So I think y'all get the analogy. Pretty wild stuff here. Oh my God, they said he's double scoop. Sign in. CC. Oh, CC, you're going to get us in trouble over here. She looks mentally drained. Oh, Gianni. Well, we also have Biden withdraws the race, but not the White House. And that raises speculation. Will somebody implement, whoever it may be, the 25th Amendment? So check this out. Joe Biden said that he's going to step down from the Democratic nomination, basically void 14 million votes, as well as a couple thousand, I think it is, delegates. I'd also like to point out the fact that he just gave the double middle finger to everybody, not just really him, but I'd say so much more so the Democratic Party that's not really so much for democracy anymore. I mean, it's very few times in American history we've ever seen anything like this. Now it's 106 days out from the election. They completely canned and gave the double middle finger to all their voters and go, you know what? We don't think that you should be allowed to select your presidential nominee. We're going to do it for you. And by the way, they've been doing this since 2012. They've been doing this to their own party for a freaking decade. Wild. So, the so-called fateful delegate rule was pushed in place by the Democratic National Committee in 1980 to prevent delegates to pledge their then President Jimmy Carter from defecting to Senator Ted Kennedy. But the current Democratic National Committee language says this: delegates elected to the National Convention pledged to a presidential candidate shall, in all good conscience, reflect the sentiments of those who elect them. Therefore, they could technically interpret this to allow delegates to abandon Biden, but now that is not necessary. So there is delegates that could still, coming to the convention here in August 19th through the 22nd in Chicago, place of all places. By the way, in Chicago, they're actually removing homeless people off the streets, and they're completely like getting rid of all the crime in the area for when this takes place. It's very similar to when Xi came to California, the president of China, and they cleaned up the streets for the guy. And then once he was gone, he's like, all right, everybody back to their places. Everybody shit on the streets again. It's okay. So that's what they're going to do again. But technically, some of these delegates that were already attached to Joe Biden could, with good conscience, because that's what the American people wanted on the Democrat side of the aisle, stick with Joe Biden. That could be a scenario that does, in fact, happen here. Since, however, Biden has withdrawn his candidacy before the DNC, the delegates pledged to him are now free to support any other candidate they would like. And rumor was last night, let me see if I can actually find this really quick for you, because this happened faster than a lot of people thought, and I did tweet it out. Let me make sure I have it here. It was very quick. It's from Charlie Kirk. There we go. Tennessee, New Hampshire, and South Carolina have all now pledged their state delegates to Kamala Harris. Folks, that happened within like 6 hours of Joe Biden dropping out of the race. Maybe less than that. This has all been planned behind the scenes. Everything you're seeing right now, please don't mistake it. It has been planned behind the scenes for quite some time. I would say upwards of 3 weeks. The Biden administration has known that they're going to drop out of the race. All the while, they've been leading the American public on for 3 weeks. Isn't that a wild thing on how they've been gaslighting you, manipulating you? And by the way, just putting out disinformation, which I said during the live stream yesterday, what a remarkable thing. The fact that they sat there and hounded our asses and said, oh, we're throwing out cheap fakes and deep fakes. By the way, if they're claiming that we are throwing out cheap fakes and deep fakes, that is saying that us, the people like me or anybody else on the internet, is deliberately putting out information that is false. Like, not the fact that we don't know it's false, but the fact that we do know it's false and we're still willing to peddle it, which is crazy because it's exactly what the Biden administration has been doing since the beginning. Now, since, however, Biden has withdrawn his candidacy before the DNC, the delegates pledged to him are now free to support another candidate, which is going to be most likely Kamala Harris, which we mentioned. She already somehow received the delegates from those three states, which is really an interesting thing because it makes you wonder then, is there going to be other candidates that are stepping up to the plate here other than Kamala Harris? Because if she already has delegates attached to her, but she's not even necessarily the nominee yet, are we just going straight to Kamala Harris and not actually looking for somebody else? What even is more remarkable than this? Let this whole thing sink in that I'm about to tell you. This was a post by ALX, which I think is just a funny way of putting for Alex. The dude says this, and he's spot on in saying this. Donald Trump was impeached, banned from all social media, threatened with ballot removal. Not just threatened, they did remove it from the ballot for a short time. Indicted multiple times, arrested, convicted. Dude had an assassination attempt on him and it was fucking shot. And Joe Biden's the one that dropped out of the race? Are you kidding me? Donald Trump, as in all this happened to him. This scandals. By the way, there wasn't slander spoken of in here, straight libel. Like, all these things took place. Joe Biden's the one that dropped out? Like, what, Joe? Joe, you okay? You okay, Joe? Where you at, Joe? Where's Joe? Where's Joe at? We're all wondering, where's Joe? So it's just a remarkable thing that we're seeing in politics. As I mentioned, folks, I find politics as entertainment. It's like a movie to me. And let me tell you, this is the greatest movie of all time. That you can have everything happen to what has happened. And now we're transitioning. And the dude that's the most popular president in American history is dropping out. You could not write this. You cannot write this. If you don't believe that we're in a simulation now, I don't know what will make you believe. But holy lordy, it's happening, folks. So the big thing is Kamala Harris is the now runner for the Democrat Party, pretty much. But like I mentioned, where's Joe at? Is he okay? Is he alive? And I'm not trying to be rude or facetious. It's just, where is he at? Because he suddenly resigns via Twitter, by the way. Like I said, he broke up with everybody over text message. Then White House staff find out 1 minute later. I don't think that's true, by the way. Joe's resignation letter, not on official letterhead, which is weird. Biden's signature suspect was underlined, ? And then Steve Ricchetti helped write the letter. We don't even know where Jill Biden's at. She tweeted some heart emoji response to this whole thing. And then the White House comes out and wipes Biden's schedule. The chief of staff of the White House calls cabinet and manages the communications all of a sudden. Frank Biden confirms a factor in all this, which we'll get to because there's speculation that Joe Biden is terminally ill. That will be breaking. Then the family suggests Biden may be again terminally ill. Joe Biden holds no live press conference. The question is, where is Joe? And that's where we get to this. There is a growing concern among social media users regarding the whereabouts and health of the status of the president. Multiple posts from various accounts, including prominent figures and regular citizens, express worry and confusion over the lack of public appearances or statements from the president in recent days. Yo, this is crazy. I mean, it really is true. Does Joe know that he actually dropped out? Because we never heard really from the horse's mouth. We saw a signature. We saw this yesterday. This is what we saw. Folks, you can do that with a stamp. Quite frankly, somebody could have just wrote this and hacked into Joe's Twitter account and just posted it on behalf of him. Who knows what's going on? Joe, where you at? You okay, Joe? You okay? So you also have Morning Joe. Let me make sure I'm not skipping ahead here. Yeah, I am skipping ahead. So, darn, I had a bunch of stuff for you guys. Here it is. So Joe's brother comes out and says that he hopes to enjoy whatever time we have left. Now, is that questioning the fact that Joe Biden's terminally ill? Or is that questioning the fact that, hey, he's going to be out of the office soon? Little weird statement, but here it is from the news.
CBS News had a brief conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, "I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act." We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So a member of the president's family now confirming that the president's health was indeed a major factor in this decision, and calling his brother a hero for making the decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris.
Hero.
So, Nancy, sorry, can you clarify that the family is saying his health was or was not a factor?
He's saying that in his humble opinion, yes, the president's health and vitality played a considerable role in his decision. It's important to note Frank Biden is not speaking for the family writ large. This was simply a conversation between CBS News and Frank Biden. Unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same, to defeat.
There you go, folks. You heard it from a family member's mouth. Allegedly, it's health issues, right? And again, we're not going to let the media get away with this. We're not going to let the Democrat Party get away with it. All you suckers in the media in the Democrat Party, you little liars, have been pushing this whole thing that Joe Biden's saying he's senile, he's fine, he doesn't have any medical conditions. Folks, we'll go with the White House said. Just February, he had a top-notch physical. Neurologists were involved. Everybody checked out his brain. They checked out his asshole, like all these things. He's fine. He's fit. All of a sudden, just 4 months later, he's not fit to hold office. I will go as far to say this. It took the Democrat Party and the media 20 minutes to turn on Joe. If you're Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, doesn't matter who you are on the Democrat side of the aisle, this is what your party will do to you. If you're a Democrat and you came into this, one, welcome. Two, we're pretty much all patriots, conservatives, Republicans, independents in here. We would love to have you, but you got to have your head on straight. If you're one of those that promulgated this, you don't need to apologize. Just vote for Donald Trump, because this is crazy what your party's peddling and has done to Joe Biden. It's a really crazy thing that we're witnessing here in politics. Now, we know Kamala Harris is going to step up to the plate, but within 2 hours maybe, everybody started coming out of the woodworks like, I'm gonna be president, I'm gonna run for election, I could be the next guy. So one of those people who is considering rejoining not just the Democrats, but also running for president, you guys didn't see this one coming, I'm sure, is Joe Manchin. He's an independent. He left the Democrat Party. He's like Bernie, right? Except Bernie's a socialist. That's why he's not a part of the Democrat Party, because they don't want to lump the two together, even though they really are basically one and the same now. He's reportedly thinking about returning to the Democrats and running for that freaking house, the White House, now that President Joe Biden has bounced out. Sources close to Senator Joe Manchin, independent, says he's considering re-registering as a Democrat and throwing his hat into the ring. Sources also told NBC News that Manchin was considering a bid against Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the only declared candidate seeking the Democrat Party's re-election nomination, not re-election, but presidential nomination. So things are freaking getting wild, folks. I see y'all in the live chat. Things are getting insane. And you want to make sure that you stay updated with all the news here, because it's changing so fast. I mean, it is hard for me to even keep up. And imagine having a full-time job and doing all those other things. Well, you can stay up to date as long as you have the correct just app and the correct app that's connected to a store. The app is Rumble, baby, and that's where we're at. Rumble takes care of us. I want to make sure that we can take care of them and wear their merch so that everybody else knows where to find the latest and greatest news. Rumble's exclusive apparel has finally arrived. Some of you have been buying this stuff up because of the discounts they're giving us. They are now offering 20% off all their purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code DROP20. Again, folks, 20% off Rumble apparel. If you want to support the brand that is fighting for free speech and fighting for our First Amendment, this is the best way to do it, folks. You know they're censoring off YouTube. They're censoring us off Facebook. All these platforms, they're sitting there shadow banning us, which is why our main hub now that is being outsourced to everybody else is Rumble. We go through Rumble now as our main place because they value our value system, not just as patriots, but also as conservatives, independents, and Republicans. They have tees, sweaters, hats, plus much more, folks. Go to rumble.store rather, and make sure you enter DROP20 as the promo code to get 20% off your entire order, folks. You got to support brands that ultimately support free speech. Like I mentioned, YouTube ain't doing it. We'll never sit here and plug a YouTube store or something like that unless it's my very own, folks. So again, head over to rumble.store and get that stuff today, folks. We would love to support them. Look at that Rumble hat over there in that link. That's a good looking hat. We got to get one. But then what am I going to wear? What are we going to wear here? You know what I mean? What are we going to wear? But by the way, there's a massive spider on my wall here. Let me go ahead and take care of this really quick. Jesus, that's a huge spider. Hold on a second. All right, we got it. You guys got that live. I'll take care of that a little bit later. That's a massive spider. Holy lordy. Wow. Okay. Show's back. Dude, that was... Show us, Brad. I can't show death here on this show. And I'm not, like, I'm scared of spiders. I do not like spiders. But I won, baby. We're winners. You're going to win so much here if you support Trump. Save the spiders. I don't know if you guys saw. I was watching it during the ad read. I don't know if you were watching me go like this, because I'm watching it go from this wall over my shit. Oh, I was sweating. Yeah, you guys got that in real time. Don't judge me. I'm like shaking. Like 25th Amendment for Brad. Okay. Where was I? Rumble gear. Get your Rumble gear. Okay. All right. We also have, though, so you got Joe Manchin. We got other people stepping in, so we're trying to give you everybody. Rumor is that Kamala, some of you had this, Kamala might actually have Hillary Clinton as a vice president candidate for her. So you also have Clinton's endorsing Kamala Harris for president. So this is kind of where a lot of speculation is coming from. Now, Hillary Clinton had a lot to do in conjunction with Barack Obama to get Joe Biden removed. Now, former President Bill Clinton and two-time presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, can you imagine if she stepped in for a third time? Devastation. She would never leave the woods. And you might be thinking, Brian, what are you talking about, like the woods? Folks, when she lost against Donald Trump in 2016, nobody heard from her. She left. She physically went into the woods, and like somebody spotted her, and she's like coming out of the wilderness as if she's on like some survival show, like, and then started blaming everybody else for her problems. Well, she might do that again, but she might never leave. So she's supporting Kamala Harris. Quote, "We are honored to join the president in endorsing Vice President Harris, and we'll do whatever we can do to support her. We've lived through many ups and downs, but nothing has made us more worried for our country than the threat posed by a second Trump term." Remember how we mentioned that they sat there and pushed this whole idea that he's a threat to democracy, threat to the country, threat this, threat that? Yeah, no, it's still going on. Yeah, remember how Joe Biden came out and lectured us about toning down the rhetoric, and then everybody asked him, well, really, not even really him, his White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who I guess she's out in the matter of a few months, thank God. They go, hey, is Joe Biden going to kind of start with himself and maybe the Democrat Party that's been peddling a lot of this threat talk, and that he's a threat to democracy, or he's a threat to the republic, these extremists, they're now terrorists in their own country. Like, is he maybe going to start with himself and so's the Democrat Party? Well, we don't, like, where's it at in my binder? Shit. Well, God, where's it at? We don't condone threats. I mean, that's what she said. That was it. You know what I mean? So they wouldn't sit there and say that Joe Biden Democrat Party is actually going to change their language. They didn't actually come out and say that they're going to do anything. Case in point is what you're seeing on your screen. The Clintons, who, hey, the Clintons, if you're friends with the Clintons, you might not live long enough to actually see the end of your life. But, that now is opposing a threat, right? Second term. Oh, God, so terrible. He has promised to be a dictator on day one. I mean, you keep reading, right? It just gets worse and worse. He's a dictator, right? He's like Hitler. He's terrible. He's going to drive this country into the ground. If Donald Trump was so bad and Joe Biden's so great, why the fuck is Joe Biden gone? Can you explain that, Hillary? Like, if Donald Trump is so bad and Hillary, if you're better, why don't you run? There's a random take. Look at this. And the recent ruling by his Supreme Court will only embolden him to further shred the Constitution. Kind of like how your own people, who's that guy with the big fro, that black guy that's on TV? He's like a professor or something, or proclaims to be one. And he actually said that he would want to throw the Constitution into the trash. So it's the Democrats that want to throw the Constitution into the trash. It was Nancy Pelosi that ripped up Donald Trump's speech. So we have an update here with Kamala Harris. So we think the Clintons will be in it. We think Joe Manchin is possibly going to be in it. Gretchen Whitmer. There's a lot of people that are going to kind of put their foot in here. Also, I believe a guy from Ohio is going to be in there as well. So you have an update here. As of 9 p.m. yesterday, grassroots supporters raised somehow, just out of the blue, in the matter of like 2 hours since Joe Biden dropped out, they raised almost $47 million through Act Blue following Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign launch. This has been the largest, biggest fundraising day of the 2024 cycle. Small donors are fired up and ready to take action. And I love the Hodge twins, grassroots, more like y'all had donors lined up when you forced out Joe. Like they were doing this 3 weeks ago. We know Kamala Harris was on a phone call with donors like 48 hours, 72 hours before Joe Biden even dropped out. So this whole idea that's like, oh, they just came out of the woodworks, look what they did. No, you had this working in motion. And I'll go as far to say that it was Barack Obama's campaign team that's probably helped Kamala Harris out. Now, where am I getting that from? I'm not just pulling it out of my you-know-what, is that they actually mentioned that if they can sit there and get Joe Biden out now, they can mobilize Barack Obama's campaign team to support Kamala Harris, whoever is out there. Now, Kamala Harris is not even liked by her own team. That's why she had so much turnover from her vice presidency. And a lot of the stuff that I was going to show you guys somehow has disappeared. So let's make sure that we actually can get to some of this here. There was a flashback of Kamala Harris when she was running for president. And also we have clips here when she was vice president. Now, a lot of this is coming out of the woodwork because people want to show the American public who Kamala is and what was the type of stuff she was running on. So here's a flashback where Kamala says that she would force millions of workers in the energy sector to transition to new jobs, such as installing of wind turbines and solar panels. I'm telling you, folks, she is probably the same, if not worse, than Joe Biden. And we should not be a shock to this. This is coming up individual. It's coming from the Senate of California, who, again, attributed running this state into the ground, and as a vice president running this country into the ground. And the Democrats think that through some sort of insanity that she's just going to change. She's not. She's going to make things worse. Here she is.
The solution for voters who have jobs and interests in the fossil fuel industry.
Well, for the workers in that industry, we have to, we have to encourage that those industries do better in terms of giving the workers an ability to transition into the jobs of the future, such as renewable energy. And there are, if the Bureau of Labor Statistics last came out with a list of the top 20 jobs in the United States that will see the greatest amount of growth. In large part, the jobs are on that list because these jobs need to be filled and we don't have the skilled labor to fill them. Number one and number two, installation and maintenance of wind turbines and solar paneling. So my plan and what I intend to do for those workers is part of my plan of action is that all workers who need to transition are going to get an $8,000 tax credit to be able to do the training that is necessary to take on the jobs that need to be filled.
She is so stupid. She is so stupid. Well, we're going to give you an $8,000 tax credit for something that probably costs way more than $8,000. And here's something that a lot of people don't talk about, including Republicans, is she did mention actually a really good point here, is that we're becoming more of a technologically advanced society, right? And she's made the case, which is true, that there's a lot of these jobs, the upper spectrum, in terms of these technological skills that are required that aren't being filled. But here's the deeper thing that we're seeing as a society. It's been the first time, this happened in 2022 or 2023, for the first time in 100 years, the American IQ score has dropped. Why is that so important? Is because there's a strong correlation. There's a strong correlation coefficient between somebody's IQ and the type of skilled job they're able to do. Meaning the higher the IQ, the more cognitive demanding a job is that they can ultimately withhold. Versus somebody with a low IQ is not able to basically do a high cognitive skilled job, such as what she's referring to here, whether that's for generative AI, or that's some sort of energy, or some sort of IT, whatever it is. If it's a high IQ position, we're slowly not going to be able to fill those positions because we don't have the people with the capacity to be able to do it because our IQs are actually dropping as a country. You're seeing the inverse of what actually needs to take place. But this case in point on what she's trying to do here is she's trying to implement the same thing that Joe Biden did, where they want to remove the fossil fuel industry and basically destroy this country. Because if you could sit there and drill baby drill like Donald Trump wants to do, Well, what that's going to do is relieve pressure on everything else. It's basically your bedrock in terms of the energy cost to ship this stuff, to create things, your electricity, all this stuff really starts with oil and energy. And that's why we can at least maybe bring prices down and stagnate rather than consistently going up. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, remember, prices are up almost across the board, an average of 20%, 20.1% to be exact. So it's only going to get worse under Kamala. None of this is going to change if she's reelected, and Democrats know that. Now, here's another flashback where Kamala said it was wrong-headed and outdated to think police officers make communities safe. So the whole crime aspect that's going on with the Democrat Party is only going to be exacerbated under Kamala Harris. It's only going to get worse. Folks, we have a track record. If you want to see her plans for the country, look at the state of which she's coming from. California, crime, smash and grabs. There's no cash bail. You commit a crime, they freaking put in your paperwork and you're out within a couple hours. As long as it takes them to do the paperwork, it's like the DMV. You're in and you're out to go commit another crime. They want illegal aliens to pour across the country. They can't sit there and figure out. They blew a $100 billion deficit. What do you think they're going to do to our $35 trillion budget deficit? Here we go.
Let's talk about America's failure when it comes to understanding how you create safe communities. And by that, I mean this. It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. What we have to do, and what we will do, is reimagine public safety. Let's talk about America.
You know, some of that reimagining of public safety was sitting there putting out these social workers with no guns, showing up to these domestic disputes of people arguing that sometimes turns violent and sometimes turns into people with knives and guns and other stuff. And these idiots, these Democrats who are so far removed from average Americans like you or I, it really is head spinning. But don't worry, you guys, it's outdated. It's wrong-headed. Folks, police officers have been working for society for quite a long time. I mean, at least if you go back in the Western days with the sheriffs, right, and all those other things, or just allowing people to police themselves has worked for quite some time. It does work, but don't worry. She can't sit there and actually acknowledge the fact that something is good. And so another flashback here, I want to show everybody who this individual is, which is why we're going through these. Kamala said she'd get rid of the filibuster in order to shove the socialist, job-killing Green New scam down the throats of Americans. Folks, that will cripple a country. They've already implemented certain aspects of this Green New scam. Well, now she wants to implement the whole thing, and she's willing to end the filibuster to do so. Here it is from the horse's mouth.
So again, back to the United States Congress, here's my point. If they fail to act as President of the United States, I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. So
that should scare the 11 crap out of everybody. The Green New Deal, some aspects of it, is to sit there and restructure and rebuild pretty much every building in the United States to make it environmentally friendly. It's to remove airplanes. It's to remove basically anything that's a combustion engine. Forget about it. Gone. And I mean every single one. This is the craziness of the Democrat Party. And I've always said this. The Democrats, they shout stuff to the skies that sound good, but there's no action plan and understanding the consequences of the things that they're shouting. They just shout stuff. Green New Deal, it's awesome. Look at it. Wow, no airplanes, cars. We'll have electric everything. You want to know what's even more scary? We're on the verge of World War III, right? And that could come up, hopefully never. But we know there was rumors in 2025 that China was going to invade Taiwan. At least that's the date that was given by a general of the American military to their brigade or their commanders or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It was like 2 years ago that we went over that whole thing. Folks, there is paperwork now, like certified paperwork, that Joe Biden Democrat Party want to do basically electric tanks. That is, I want to see if actually, let me see if I have it for you in real time. I know we do this quite a bit, but I'll be like, oh, let me see if I can pull up that clip that we did. That's why I think you should follow me on Twitter. Again, we are on Twitter. I pull up a lot of this stuff and I submit it there for you guys. Here it is. Oh man, it was pulling this up so quick. We're pulling it up so quick. Here's CNN getting their asses kicked by basically calling out Representative Matt Waltz by saying, yeah, well, you weren't really telling the truth about electric tanks. Here he is talking about how they're wanting to implement electric vehicles in the military. These people are idiots.
Sure. I do want to talk Daniel Dale, the CNN lead fact checker.
I was going to get to that, yeah.
He directly got on air last night and spoke to my speech where I talked about Biden's military and his misguided priorities.
Let's get to that. So
yeah.
There was a CNN fact check of your speech.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned at one point, and I want to get this right, you said that Biden was focused on building electric tanks.
Yep.
Apparently that comes from this Army climate strategy that said that they wanted to make tactical vehicles electric.
Let me fact check your fact checker.
Sure, go ahead.
I have here Bloomberg reporting the U.S. Army putting its electric tanks on hold because they have to further invest in and develop the battery technology. I have testimony with the Secretary of the Army this issue. I have the budget where they're investing in research and development on electric fighting vehicles in addition to the non-tactical vehicles mentioned in that climate strategy. So I would just suggest that Daniel Dale sit down with the chairman of the Readiness Committee who reviews and approves these budgets and has the testimony and has the actual facts before he questions someone's credibility on national television.
I'm sure that he would be more than happy to sit down.
Well, he should do that before he publicly puts it. I mean, it's forever on the internet. He said it on air. And when we talk about misleading, he's misleading the public. And so if he's misleading on, I have all the facts. If he's misleading on that, what else is he misleading on?
I think you're getting an opportunity to respond to it now. And as you know, Congressman, getting to the truth is a process. It's not as cut and dry as it may seem sometimes.
But literally minutes after my speech, he's telling the world I'm misleading. There's no way he could review the Army's budget, the research and development, the testimony that I personally received under oath, or how about just Google and get the facts?
Yeah. But hey, you know what? We shouldn't expect anything more from, CNN to fact check. You gotta love the balls of CNN wanting to fact check and consistently be wrong. It really is wild stuff. So like I said, they want to sit there and implement this Green New Deal. Well, there goes the country, folks. And I mean that in all respect. If they actually implement that, say goodbye to, there's not enough money on this planet to actually implement the Green New Deal. And it's only hurting ourselves. So while we're sitting there removing all our coal plants, all our energy grid, or not even, I mean, our energy grid's like archaic. So we're not actually advancing anything in that regard. All the while, China's building all these coal plants left and right. And then Joe Biden goes, well, we need to sit there and make sure we're part of the Paris Climate Accord. And Kamala Harris agrees with them. While our emissions have gone down, everybody else in that whole accord has gone up. Oh, well, we're making a difference. No, you're not. I've always used this analogy. If you're using the earth as a dumpster, we're sitting there not putting our trash in, but India, China, Russia, everybody else is just pouring their trash in. We're not making any blip on the meter here. So we're only shooting ourselves in the foot. And Democrats love that because it's the deep state. It's the Democrat Party working in conjunction with these global elites. These global elites are the ones that removed Joe Biden from office because the global elites work with the Clintons. The global elites work with Barack Obama. The global elites work with the Democrat Party and these deep state scumbags running this country. It ain't Joe Biden running the country, and we've known that for a long time. In case in point, the guy that just bowed out, that allegedly is the most popular president in American history, is gone. He's not with us. I mean, things are so bad, folks. And even Joe Scarborough this morning admitted that crime rates have skyrocketed over the past 4 years under Kamala Harris and Biden. I mean, the script has flipped, and Democrats don't like Kamala, believe it or not.
4 years later, it is that very thing with crime rates have skyrocketed over the past 4 years. Even though they've gone down over the last year and a half, 2 years, there's still that perception out there. 4 years later.
I mean, when Joe Scarborough's telling the truth, you know, things are rough. Mind you, I don't know if he had a talking to now that after Donald Trump basically almost had his head blown off. Who knows what that, I mean, remember, they didn't air the show. And he was pissed about it, meaning Joe Scarborough. But really just chaotic news, just altogether. Really chaotic news. Now, we've talked about energy with Kamala Harris, right? We talked about crime rates. We talked about her not wanting to have regular police officers in there, like all these things, okay? One thing we haven't talked about is illegal immigrants. Well, let's hear what the horse's mouth has to say about how she's going to treat illegal immigrants in this country and if it will be any different than Joe Biden.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct. I'm
going to play that for you again because it happened quick. Listen to how she's going to treat illegal immigrants. They're not going to be criminals.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct. There you go. I am in favor.
So she's not going to do anything. Remember, she was put in place to sit there and figure out the border issue. She really only has ever been given one job as vice president in terms of Joe Biden's administration, and that was to fix the border. She couldn't do one thing. She had one job, and she couldn't do it. But yet she's supposed to lead the country. I mean, it shows you how shallow the Democrat Party is, right? And what I mean by shallow is they have nobody. They have nobody that can do the job. Joe Manchin can't do the job. Kamala Harris can't do the job. What, are you going to put Hillary Clinton out there? She's lost 2 times already. They have nobody. All the while, we got what? We got Donald Trump. I mean, hell, you could throw up Donald Trump Jr., Eric. I mean, any Trump could sit there and run the country. But you also have Ted Cruz. You got Marco Rubio, whether you like him or not. You got Tim Scott. You have Tom Cotton. You got Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, the list of people that we could put forward on the Republican ticket, and this is the best that they have, is Kamala Harris. Says everything about that party. Now, where's Trump in the mix of all this? Well, Trump comes out and says, basically, I want to be reimbursed for fraud after Biden exit wants next debate aired on Fox News. So I haven't read this, but you know, if it's Trump, it has to be good, baby. So former President Donald Trump said on Sunday that the Republican Party deserved to be reimbursed for fraud after the Democratic Party and media surrogates forced them to spend millions campaigning against President Joe Biden, despite knowing full well that he could not make it through another 4 years in office. And there actually is more credibility behind this now that we've heard from Joe Biden's own brother that he might be terminal, that Joe Biden ain't going to have that much longer with us, which also gives credibility of why we haven't seen Joe and why he wrote a letter to the American public. He basically broke up with the American people, the Democrats, over text message. Now, he made this statement over Truth Social hours after Biden announced to stand down from the 2024 presidential election. Quote, so we're forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again? Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud in that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking. Great question, Trump. Great question. And the great part here is everybody was in on it. His family, his doctors, his campaign, his staffers, his media. Everybody was in on the fact that Joe Biden wasn't sharp. And you're damn right. I'm going to repeat this till I'm blue in the face. I'm not kicking a dead horse because the horse is still alive right now. These people lied. They did not just misinformation. They went beyond that and actually did disinformation. They called us the extremists. They called us a terrorist to this country. They said this or that. They promulgated it. It shows you how insane this media deep state apparatus goes, folks. And it goes deep, man. My debate with crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in history of the United States, was slated to broadcast on fake news ABC. That is correct. I think that's supposed to happen in September. Home of George Stephanopoulos. Did he say Slopanopoulos? I was like, did I read that wrong? Freaking Trump, man. That's why Trump's the best. Anyways, now that Joe has not surprisingly has quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News. And I agree. I think ABC should be out. Trump should hold his ground and do Fox News. If not, then no debate. I think Trump holds all the cards now. Democrat Party can't get their shit in line. And I mean, that's obvious, right? Even them running the country, they can't do it, let alone pick their own candidate again. So I think Trump has all the cards. Furthermore, Trump said that you also have Eric Trump calling on the Secret Service director to resign. Rumor was that she was going to resign today. We will see if that actually happens. I mean, the news cycle is freaking insane right now. Eric Trump said on Sunday that Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle should resign after the attempted assassination on his father. Now, I don't need to go any more further into that. You all know what that's referring to. There is a Secret Service hearing taking place right now. Now, I want to remind the audience, once I'm done with this stream, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to start a new one with a new thumbnail and a new title. And I'm going to go back to the beginning of the Secret Service hearing because it started 51 minutes ago. And I'm going to start from the beginning and go all the way till the end. So if you guys want to join us, I'd really love for you to have you over there. Nice little conversation, hang out together and hear what all the evidence is and hear what she has to say. Now, I'm not even sure if she showed up because I'm live right now, but we'll see. The reason why I say that, she didn't submit anything to Congress. They requested names. They requested the audio of the day. They requested all these things. Got nothing. But don't worry, they're on top of it, folks. They take it serious. There's no cover-up taking place. It wasn't an inside job. You had a week to prepare for this hearing, and she sent them nothing. So hundreds of questions. Comer previews hearing on Trump rally shooting with Secret Service director. A top House investigator shared on Sunday a sneak peek of what sorts of questions will be asked when Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle testifies about the security failure underlying the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Set for 10 a.m. today, so that happened. It started at 7 a.m., so about an hour ago. The hearing will serve as the beginning of the process to get answers for the American people as to what went wrong with an agency that has no fail mission. You have James Comer from Kentucky, Fox News Sunday, meeting with them. Comer, who subpoenaed her, to appear before the hearing, noted how the spokesperson for the Secret Service denied reporting that claimed that Trump assassination request more resources. The Post confirmed that the former president's team asked for more. Lawmakers have a lot of questions as to how the Secret Service is managing their money. Questions have been raised about the shooter, as well as the nearby rooftop, and just how he began shooting with an AR-15 style rifle 150 yards away. A bullet ripped through Trump's ear. And so basically, yada, yada, there's a ton of questions here. And that's what we're going to get to a little bit later today once we're done live streaming. Now, a few of you in the chat here. We got Lulu here. Mike's here. Morning, Mike. Good to see you, brother. Dan, Snarf, Cheeto is getting grilled right now. I bet we'll be live in just one moment, folks. I promise you. And we'll go back and we'll watch her get drilled. I should probably rethink the way I said that. We'll watch her. That's in a Trump voice too. I said it. You know, we'll watch her get drilled. She's gonna get so pounded. Should probably think about things before I say it. I'm on like high alert right now. I don't even need more coffee. I'm like, look, is there more spiders? Like, what's that movie? Was it Arachnophobia? You guys remember that old movie with who's the guy from Dumb and Dumber? I forgot his name. Just on Rumble. Is the hearing live? Just on Rumble. The hearing is live. It started an hour ago. We'll be transitioning over there any moment right now. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything in the live chat. Love seeing you guys. It's always great hanging out with you. Always great hanging out with you. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Now, Karen made a big donation the other day, and she also sent me an email, I think it was last night or this morning, about comics. Now, there are these new comics that are helping the next generation in understanding and engaging in the Bible. I wanted to do this read yesterday. This is freaking awesome. It's great for just teenagers and kids in general. The Kingston Bible is the most complete graphic adaptation of the Bible ever done and is the perfect product for hearing young adults, or helping rather, young adults read. It's tough, you know, when the book, there's no pictures and all this other stuff. It's just a great way to get your kids interacting with the word, with scripture, and having that relationship with God is clearly important. And it's something that we're lacking in this country. So if you're somebody of faith, or even not, if you're just, even as an adult, if you're having trouble understanding the scriptures, not even a great thing to get for yourself, but also your kid. So it's a deep dive into and interact with the Bible. The graphic Bible helps young adults understand the historical timelines of the Bible, since there's so much to know, and lesser known characters and Orthodox Christian teachings. Top comic artists from Kingston Comics have created a stunning 2,000 plus page graphic novel, you guys, to capture the whole Bible from Genesis all the way to Revelation. The entire Old Testament and the New Testament is available either as a hardcover trilogy, or they offer it in 6 softcover volumes. With the Kingston Bible, young adults can read scripture from cover to cover and many times retain the content longer than traditional text. The reason why, when you have pictures, you can assimilate information a lot better. From this and more exciting products at KingstonComics.com. Again, that's KingstonComics.com. If you or somebody else, a loved one, is struggling understanding the scripture, or heck, just needs to spend more time with the Lord, this is a great avenue for all of you. Like I said, I wanted to do this ad read yesterday. It wasn't available to us, but it's available to us now. Make sure you head over to kingstoncomics.com and check that out, folks. With that being said, yeah, some of you are saying, I hate spiders. I hate spiders too. We got it. And probably before I go live again, I will probably throw away this piece of paper because it's freaking me out, and comb the room really quickly. Like, how did it get in here? That's the question. Like, where did they come from? You know what I mean? Like, it looked like Joe Biden wandering off, right? So, well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Hang around. I'm going to end this live, and I'm going to go live again, and we'll be watching the Secret Service. If you can't make it, that's okay. But if you want to hang out with us as patriots and conservatives in the chat, we would love to have you, folks. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday episode of the Bald Brad Show, folks. We will obviously be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for another episode. Remember, folks, in 2 weeks, we're going to go 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time because I got to do this before I go to work. So we'll live stream, and then I'll go to work and do my day job. With that being said, folks, I'll see you later here on the Bald Brad Show.